All right, let's take a look at the Bates GOAT SWM, and we're going to compare that with the Shimano Tranx 300HG. So if you're someone that snook fishes a lot, you've got a setup dedicated only to snook fishing, you need something like these in your arsenal. These things are fantastic at throwing the bigger baits that snook love to hammer. So those baits, we're talking about glide baits like this one or this one. We're talking about some of the flare hawks, not the big giant ones, but a little 1 ounce flare hawk. We're talking about things like the NLBN, the 5-inch. We're talking about things like the Mulletron LT, even the bigger top waters. This is the large version of the Yozuri pencil and the bone color, the only color to throw. If you throw stuff like this and you target snook, you need to be fishing a reel like this. So these reels are just phenomenal. They love casting baits like this. A lot of them on the market don't have a lot of line capacity, which can be an issue sometimes snook fishing. That's not the case with these two reels. They've got lots of drag, they've got lots of power, they've got big handles on them, and they're made for putting the heat on big fish. So we're gonna talk about each of these reels just a little bit. We're gonna go over the brand because you might not be familiar with Bates, but it's what CA is fishing now, so they must be good. So we're gonna go over the brand a little bit and talk about the reel. We're gonna go over the specs of each one of these reels and see how they compare. Then we're gonna put them in the hand and see how they feel from that standpoint, and hopefully help you make a purchase decision and decide which one of these two reels is the better reel for you to buy. So Bates is a phenomenal Texas-based brand that has been making these super good quality reels for a little while now. They're all billet CNC aluminum, machined on a CNC machine, which is super nice. I swear that they took some of the Shimano reels and scanned them with a laser and then cut them out of aluminum. So these are super saltwater rated. They're phenomenal for use in both fresh and saltwater. This reel is a just big swim bait reel. So you could throw it for stuff like striped bass and big largemouth and throw swim baits for those and do this. But this reel is really phenomenal and really sits at home nicely in the saltwater. So saltwater is not going to hurt the body of it at all. It's got a titanium handle on it, a big oversized handle. And know you're going to be putting a lot of power on fish through the reel. Titanium's not going to rust or corrode. It can't do it, just like the Van Staal pliers. So they've really made this reel very, very well, and they want it to last. They've put brass gears inside of it that, again, are just extremely, extremely resistant in the saltwater environment. And this reel is just going to last a very long time and hold up really well for you. Tranx really doesn't need a lot of an introduction. It has developed an incredible reputation, especially in the saltwater game and the heavy snook application like we're talking about, or even bigger in the 400 size. Or larger. They've really, really made a great name in the tarpon and snook realm, especially on the east coast of Florida. When you got the big inlets, they're throwing big baits, and those fish could be well over 50 inches. It takes a lot of power to get those fish to you and get hands on them, and these reels have just made an incredible name in that world over there. But this is just packed with all the typical Shimano features that you're used to. So it's got X-ship, which supports the pinion gear on either side with a bearing, so that when you're under load, the gears stay aligned no matter how hard you're pulling. They stay aligned and the gear teeth mesh together perfectly no matter how hard you're pulling. It's got the metal Hagane body, so you're not going to have any flex, any wiggle on you. It's going to be tight under any load, any circumstance. It's also got their cross carbon bait casting drag, so very similar to their cross carbon reels in the spinning, but tweaked a little bit to fit the low profile style reels. And it's also got their super free spool, which totally eliminates any friction between the spool and the main shaft when casting, so that just means it casts forever. But let's get into the specs and the sizing on this reel. Like I said in the intro, this is a 300HG size, so the specs for this reel are exactly for this model. And then as far as the baits end of things, this is the swim. This is 200 size reel, so all the specs are going to be for this exact size, which is the only one they make. So let's start with the specs on the Tranx 300HG. So this reel's got a gear ratio of 7.6 to 1, has 18 pounds of drag, it weighs 11.6 ounces, holds 195 yards of 40-pound braid. It gathers 39 inches of line per crank. This reel has 6 bearings, and this Tranx will set you back $299. So now let's hit the specs for the GOAT SWM. This reel has a gear ratio a little slower, 7.1 to 1, has the same 18 pounds of drag, significantly lighter. This reel weighs 9.4 ounces. It also has more line capacity. They rate it in 30 pound though, rather than 40 pound like Shimano did, but it's 260 yards of 30. So moral of the story is the GOAT Swim just holds more line. Retrieves 32 inches of line per crank from that little bit slower gear ratio. Has almost twice as many bearings. This reel has 11 bearings, but all that comes at a price of $395, so about 95 bucks difference. So now let's get these reels in the hand and see what they feel like. First up is the Tranx. This thing looks phenomenal. I like the big power handle. It's the same one off of their like Twin Power and Stella SW reels. What's this Twin Power? But I like the power handle on it. You know, it's one-sided. You get a lot of power out of it. I like that dark blue on there. It's just a really good looking reel over and over. Let's check the bail. Bail feels good. It's a little hard to click, but the auto close works really nice on it. The star drag knob is nice. You know, nothing special, nothing crazy. It just works right. Spool tensioner is extremely tight. It was just locked down, but feels good. A little firm, but feels good overall. Yeah, I mean, nothing to complain about. Just feels great and looks great. Let's pop the side plate open. That's what you're looking at. Your brakes in there. Yeah, I mean, not much going on. Very simple. You got a nice bearing in there, obviously. Yeah, feels good. No complaints there. Now the GOAT Swim in the hand, and wow, that's significantly lighter. A couple ounces difference, and you can definitely feel that. You know, fatigue at the end of the day, you're definitely gonna have less fatigue with this reel. This thing's gorgeous too. That matte black with that matte silver titanium there. I like the handles on this reel too. They're oversized, they're very large. The handles themselves have this nice little alligator type texture on them, on that foam material. It's kind of rubberized, it's not really foam, but they feel really good in the hand. Kind of tapered in there. Yeah, the handle feels really good in the hand. Once again, it just looks great. I like the Bates logo on the bail there. Let's feel the bail now. Speaking of that, it's much softer to press down than the Tranx. So I like that. It closes with less resistance on the handle, which I like. And one thing I just noticed too is on the level wind there, if you can see down in there a little bit, the level wind itself has kind of that Daiwa T-wing look. It's kind of a funnel shape. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up, but I could see you casting further on this reel because of that. It's, you know, not directing the line as harshly as it is on the Tranx, which, you know, in the Tranx, it's just that typical sleeve that you see. It's kind of rounded. Well, it's a little oval up and down, but it's not tapered at all. So I like the taper of this one. It's shaped almost exactly like a funnel in there. So I feel like this would cast better, but it definitely feels a little smoother too. And that's probably all the bearings that this thing's loaded with. Spool tensioner has little clicks in there, and it's much easier to move and manipulate, so I like that. The drag also has, you know, better clicks on it, so I think that feels a little better to me than the Tranx. Not a huge deal, it still works fine, but it just feels a little better to me. But yeah, feels great. So let's pop the side plate off and take a look inside. So all you gotta do is this spring loaded, so all you gotta do is throw the lever back and the side plate pops right off. So very simple. Once again, side plate stays attached here and the spool can just slide right out. There you go. Obviously bearings on either side. Well, bearing on that side, the bearing on this side's in the side plate. But there's your magnets in there. Yeah. Feels great. I definitely like the hand feel a little bit better here versus the Tranx. All right, so now the ultimate question, which one of these two phenomenal reels do you buy? So I think both of these reels are phenomenal. There's a reason this is one of the, you know, most popular reels in this heavy snook, you know, swim bait game, because it's proven. It works. It does not hold back. You got so much power. It's got the big power handle on it. This reel just works really well, and there's a reason it's so popular. So I think if you got a bunch of other Shimano reels, you know, you're looking to get into this game, I think this is going to be a phenomenal choice. However, I really appreciate the weight difference in this reel. I like the titanium handle on it. We're talking saltwater here. There's no better material on a reel in the saltwater game than titanium. And you know, combined with an aluminum body like this, it's a little bit slower retrieve, which should give you a little bit more torque. And I just like supporting, you know, whenever possible, I can support a smaller company, a local company, you know, right out of the US. They're right over in Texas. I really like to do that. And I think this is a phenomenal reel. And if it was me and my money, I think this is worth the 95 bucks over the Tranx. You know, there's a reason I think CA is using these now. They've got to be nice. He doesn't fish junk. There's a pretty significant line capacity difference here. And those snook like to make long runs, especially those big fish. So I think you're gonna appreciate that out of this reel over the Tranx. But it's a win-win. You get a phenomenal reel anyway. Let us know in the comments. Do you own one of these? Do you own a Tranx? Let us know what you think about it. We want to hear from you. Or if you're buying a new one, you're looking into getting a heavy snook setup for swim baits, which one are you gonna pick? Is it one of these? That's it, guys. We really appreciate you watching and staying to the end of the video. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and we'll see you in the next video.